Good morning. Good morning, everybody. My friends, my enemies, my followers, my critics, my subscribers, you name it. I've got all kinds out there. I've even got people who want to be my savior. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. So many different kinds of people. And I gotta try, please, all of you, I gotta try to be just exactly what you all want me to be. At any rate, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Morning Coffee with Mitch. And it's about to change complexion and become a little different than what it has become, because what it has become, I know it's popular, but it's not accomplishing what I want to accomplish here. If you drink coffee, drink it if you got it. And the first major change after I drink it, because I got it, and because I want it, and because it helps. It helps me in not consuming things that I don't want to consume. That's why I'm going to drink it. And if there are any health consequences to it, and if half the people who say it's good for you are right or wrong, and the half the people that say it's bad for you are right, and if their opinions are actually real and true, and not motivated by their own addiction to whatever the addictive substance is, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Hi, Peter. I did see that. I saw that. I saw that question from John. But I don't have to answer it. Aaron already answered it. In fact, if anybody answers a question on my live stream and it says, Mitch, what are you thinking? And somebody jumps in and says, well, you don't need to wait for him, and I'm an expert. I know what the hell the answer is. Here's the answer. I'll let them answer it. That's fine. They're probably right. Why should I work so hard? The first major thing you may notice, the first major change, excuse me. That coffee will kill you, man. See? Especially if you try to breathe it down the wrong pipe. The first major change you're going to notice this morning is the chat is gone. The chat is gone. The chat is not on the screen. I'm tired of competing with the chat. That's not the purpose of the chat. I don't hold these morning meetings meetings to just give you all a place to ignore me. If you want to ignore me, I'll give you the surefire, no offense, no harm, no foul, no hard feelings. Take your conversation somewhere else. There's plenty of places. I just watched all of you on Kilter Channel this morning having just the same conversations you have in here. While Nelson and Ollie and the two guests were trying very hard to get you to pay attention to what they're saying. So I just finally got fed up with it and said, okay, maybe I'll have an audience of 20 people. We're all friends. I know that. And sometimes we need to have a cocktail party and forget the serious stuff and forget the things that are important. Let our hair down and relax and just talk about trivia. That's great. We all need that. But do we need it 24 hours a day? Do you go to a course to learn something and then sit there and not pay any attention to the teacher and sit and play on social media and your cell phones and those spitballs? And when will the teacher or the professor actually put up with that? So I finally said, okay, that's great. This is just my live stream where I have passion and I really want to help people and I really want to try to help people understand what I think I figured out, that I know works. Do I want to just sit here and talk to myself? I can do that all day because I'm alone. I can do that all day. And if you want to make fun of me, I don't need you here either. And if you want to find fault with me, I don't need you here either. This is building in me. Maybe you have noticed that I'm getting a little more intolerant of the BS. And I like all of you, and you're great people, and you're doing great things. And I work so hard at this to try to explain. But what good is explaining when nobody's listening? What good is going through all that only to get comments that show me that obviously you haven't been listening? To get criticisms from people who haven't heard a word I've said. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. It makes you say, why do I bother? And I'm getting more and more at that point. And the eventual end of it is I changed my channel to something else. I'm not leaving YouTube. I love YouTube. I have a great time doing this stuff. I like all the push buttons. I like the company. That's why I do live streams primarily. That's why I don't just make videos. I don't just talk at you. I try to talk to you. But if you're not listening, and I don't mean all you, I have some people here that hang on every word I say, and I love you guys, and that's great, but we got to get the people that keep interrupting the class with their own thing and their own agenda and their own, sometimes, quest for fame, their own ego, their own need to be admired. They have their own forums. Go visit them there. Another major change that's happening this morning is no more ducks. No more ducks. No more quack quack. No more duck sound effects. No more trying to turn every reference into a duck reference. I don't give a shit about ducks. I don't care about ducks. And if you come here for the duck stuff, you're in the wrong place. My live stream is not about ducks, but it has been totally co-opted, taken over by a duck motif. Sorry. I try to play along. I try to be nice to everybody. I try to support everybody. But like a virus, or the expression, give them an inch, they take a foot, that's what's happened. So, if it means that some of you don't want to come in here anymore, it doesn't mean I don't like you. It just means have a little respect for me, my message, decorum, proper behavior, not trying to be the big man on campus, the main attraction. I just don't want to do it anymore. I'm sorry. I don't want to do this anymore. Not this way. So I'm making major changes. They may, and actually, in case you haven't gotten the message yet, the last thing I care about is the growth of my YouTube channel or my own personal fame, or whether anybody wants anything to do with me, promote me, praise me, or anything else. I'm helping people. That's all that matters. I know I'm helping people. I hear that I'm helping people. And thank you, 5 Old Guy memberships. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark C. Evidently, Mark C. agrees with me. Send 5 on. Who is the new members? And tonight, on Thursday, is the live stream, the private community live stream. We'll talk more about that. Darlene Schreiber got a membership. And Rick said, the ducks never go away. Well, Rick, my friend, the ducks are going away. I'm sorry. I love you. But I'm done with you. Okay, next subject. Because some people just never get the message. And I'm tired of defending that. And I'm tired of answering comments, emails from people who say, why do you put up with it? We don't like it. We tune in to see you. We want your help. Why do you allow this distraction every day, all day, everywhere, every channel? Why? And I said, because I'm a nice guy and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Well, my YouTube channel has gone to hell because I'm such a nice guy. And I'm done. I'm done. So, that's the end of that. I'm sorry, my friends. I like Rick. I will continually tell you, go to him on Saturday morning, to his channel, where he does his live stream and talks about his message, where I never, ever, ever, I sometimes go in the chat for a few minutes, but I never inject myself as the main event. And I'm not going to do that either. So sometimes in life, even somebody you loved, you just have to get divorced. So, sorry, Rick, we're divorced. You can talk bad about me. I don't care. You can try to convert people against me. I don't care. You're not helping me. You're absolutely hurting my efforts, my attitude, and by default, the people that really are interested and think, maybe I do know something more than what you know. And that's how it's going to be from here on out. I got an email this morning that prompted this whole thing. that finally tipped me over the edge of saying, that's it. I'm not putting up with all this anymore. Maybe many of you aren't going to like it. Maybe you're going to go away. That's fine. That's fine. You don't need me. Obviously. But I got an email this morning from a guy who said, wrote me a long letter, telling me how much he liked me. And then he started to find fault with me. I can't watch those rants of yours. You're out of control, blah, blah, blah. Well, I blocked him and deleted the email. I didn't even finish reading it. I don't care. Do I have to get the button out? So that's what's going on here. Anybody who comes in here, for the sole purpose of promoting their own channel or their own YouTube career, I'm going to ban from this chat. You can still watch. I can't stop you from watching, but you're not going to be able to chat or participate. This is not that place. I don't do that. I don't go on other people's channels to promote my own. I don't give a shit about my channel, if that's not evident. All right, the second thing is going to change. The hell with Amazon. The hell with air fryers. The hell with selling you anything, trying to make a dime. Not a dime at this. I don't care. It's not worth it. It's not worth all the grief, the work, and everything else. No more reviews. No more cooking videos. That's not what I'm really about. I want to tell you how to do carnivore effectively, but for God's sakes, if that's all I'm going to be known for, why bother? There's a billion cooking channels. How many different ways can you cook a friggin' chuck roast? I've been doing something. I've been doing an experiment with this blueberries and carbs and things, which has been incredibly disruptive to my life, to my success on carnivore. And I've been doing it just to try to prove that I know what I'm talking about, and I'm willing to admit and be the guinea pig. And I've learned, oh God, what I haven't learned from that blueberry experiment. You cannot believe the clarity and how much additional stuff I've learned about how it's working on me, because I've learned how to observe it as it happens. Something that nobody thinks about. I can help. I really can help people with their addiction, with their inability to not cheat, with their inability to even recognize where the problem's coming from. That the problem's not coming from that plants are trying to kill you. We all know that plants are poisonous. Do we still fall off the wagon? Yes. Do we know how to make keto flatbread? Yes. Do we know how all this other stuff, this information we see and talk about day after day, and we keep going over, and has any of that helped? Has any of that helped? One thing has helped in the battle to overcome carb addiction. One thing. Only one thing. And that is strict carnivore. The rest of it is clickbait, noise, propaganda, sales pitches, just like everything else in this world. So that's what I want to fix. That's the only fix. This is my opinion. Somebody on this vast, trash-filled wasteland of YouTube, in the carnivore community even, in the health community, somebody has to be the last lone voice of truth, common sense, and reality. It's making me crazy to listen to this stuff. Crazy to listen to somebody else telling their story. Same story. Michael Pregler asked me about char on steaks. Mike, I'm not going to stop what I'm doing in order to talk about char on steaks. I'm sorry. Let me just have my little say, because what I'm saying today is either going to determine whether I'm back tomorrow morning. And if that's not important to you, don't listen. But if it is important to you, and you don't want me changing my YouTube channel to something else and just totally saying, well, I tried with these carnivore people. I've been successful, but I can't help them. I can't help them. I want to help them, but they obviously don't want my help. Not enough of them to make it worthwhile. And you're still all chatting away about things other than what I'm talking about. You may not see the chat, but I do. And I doubt that 90% of you actually understand what I'm talking about. Amy says, we can't help everyone, Mitch. No! Nobody can help everyone. That's great. That's great. I don't want to help anyone or everyone, but I want to be taken seriously. And it's my classroom here. I just have to put down some rules. And one thing is that the class behaves and pays attention. I think what I'm going to do tomorrow, just to see what happens, just as an experiment, I'm not going to have a chat. I'm going to turn it off. There's no chat. There's no chat. No chat. There'll be no questions. I'll come up with something to talk about. Now, I don't like that because I like interacting with you guys, but you just get to the point where I gotta hide people from the chat because I can't tolerate them anymore and their agenda and their nonsense. It's a stupid. What a stupid waste of time. Stupid waste of time. I watched Kilts this morning. He averaged about 100 people. Why? Why did Kilts get only 100 viewers this morning? I read the chat in Kilts. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on this carnivore community in YouTube. Why are people even here? We're all killing ourselves trying to help. And everybody else seems to be just interrupting and getting in the way and making it harder and harder for us to help. I know people don't hear what I say because they misunderstand me, and nobody is more clear about his own motives, more transparent and honest about why I'm here, not trying to sell you a damn thing. I started out with this stupid appliance thing because people were asking me. And I thought it would be helpful to you to learn how I do it. And I put up these Amazon links. And all of a sudden I find out I can make a little money at that. Well, I'm not going to turn it down, and I never said I wouldn't. But I'm done with it now. The links are there if you want to buy the stuff I'm using, fine. But I'm not going to keep them up anymore. I'm not going to put any mention of them anymore. This is the last you'll ever hear of my Amazon links. To buy me a coffee, same thing. Same thing. I get more people to think I'm a mercenary for that, for a lousy $5 cup of coffee. You throw money everywhere at everybody, but you don't feel that it's meaningful to me if you throw me a $5 cup of coffee, and if you don't, does that not make me feel worthless, ignored? Yes. So I'd rather not be reminded how worthless you think I am, because nobody bought me a coffee. I'd rather nobody bought me a coffee because I don't have it available. I'm too old for this. I'm working too hard right now to try to get my life back, recovering from a stroke, for any outside aggravation, especially where I'm trying to be helpful. And maybe give you a little insight that I know works, because that's the only thing that's kept me going, are those emails and comments that, Mitch, you saved my life. Mitch, I never understood it till I heard you explain it. Mitch, you have a way of explaining things that nobody else does. Now I understand. I had an epiphany. Blah, blah, blah. I've had that thousands of times. So I know that if people would just forget all that other shit for a while and take me seriously for an hour in the morning, maybe I could help. But to find out you're not helping and all you're doing is being a referee in a classroom full of people that don't care, it's crushing. It's crushing and aggravating. Aggravating. So I'm putting my foot down. This is Mitch putting his foot down. And Menix Gaming says, is Mitch taking medication? And my friend, I'm fighting the urge to get rid of you too. No, I don't take a thing. I don't take any medication. No drugs. Few little supplements, but what you're hearing from me today is pure and simple, critical and clear thinking, with a little emotion tossed in, because I'm just fed up. But no drugs. No drugs. I don't need drugs. What I need is to get away from the shit that bothers me. Just like, I'll give you a great analogy there. Great analogy. We're all sick in this society. We're all sick. We're all sick. Look at the rates of diabetes, heart disease, dementia, everything. We pretty well know, almost for a fact, that these are not real diseases or conditions. These are poisoning from certain substances. Plants primarily. And sugars, of course, where most of plants affect us through the sugar. They're mostly sugar, mostly carbohydrates. That's what's causing the problem. Poisoning. Poisoning. It's not medication. It's our food. What do we blame in our society for the problems? How many people are really blaming plants? Go out there. Take a survey. Ask people. Hello, sir. How are you? Fine. Average American. Beer drinking football player. Football fan. With a bag of Doritos in his hand. Hi, sir. What do you think is responsible for the declining health of the American public? Do you think Did he ever say plants? What's the reality? What's the truth? What's the thing that you understand that he doesn't? You understand that plants are really the root cause of all the addictions we suffer, of all the health problems we're having now, and that if you took that out of the mix, most of us would not be sick. There'd be other illnesses. There's always diseases caused, bacterial diseases, but see, everybody's in here. Yeah, thank you, Peter. Peter, I fear that Mitch is very close to deleting his YouTube channel. I hope it doesn't happen. I'm not that close yet. I'm not going to delete it, Peter. I would never delete it. But I would change my name and my focus. I did it once before when the drone, I was a drone channel. When that, because of the federal government, because of big business wanting the drone guys out of their airspace so they could deliver tube socks to you by drone, to Amazon, to eBay. When they got the federal government, when their lobbyists got the federal government to make laws that made it so impossible for drone pilots to safely exercise their hobby along with model airplane, I said, I can't be in this space anymore. It is too impossible to exist in a space where everybody just is against you. And all you got left is a few dozen other drone guys who understand the truth. Well, that's happening to the carnivore space. We're still fighting the big guys who are responsible for, where the hell do you think this is? You need to add carbs to your diet. Where do you think all that propaganda all of a sudden started coming from, and how that's disrupted us? Well, multiply that times 1,000, and now you know what happened to my last interest. Drones. Broke my heart. I was doing some good in the drone community. People called me professor. They were learning from me. They were benefiting from me. They liked me. I liked it. I liked them. They're still some of my great friends, and they still come in here to this channel. But the same thing is happening in the carnivore community. We're losing sight of the message while the powers that be totally destroy and eviscerate us. And I'm the only guy that sees that. I've heard little mentions of it. That's reality. That's reality. I can't live in this world anymore because I live in a real world where things have to make sense. The pieces of the puzzle have to fit together. And I have a hard time finding people to even talk to anymore. I didn't want today to be a whole rant. I wanted to talk about my blueberry experiment, which is over. But a couple of things happened that just made me say to myself, why do you do this? Why do you subject yourself to this? What do you care about these people who don't know you or don't care about you? And sometimes I scratch my head because I do care. And if I have any faults that make it impossible for me to live in this world full of people, it's really take it seriously, and I do care, and I want to help. I've been trying to help all my life by writing books that never sold because nobody else cared. It didn't fit in with their propaganda. We live in a phony world. Nothing in our world is real anymore. Nothing you hear coming out of the mouth of a politician, save for a very few, is real. It's a story. It's all a story. Everything is a story. The problem is how do you know what story to believe? There are an infinite number of stories, but there's only one real story. That's the truth. Nobody knows what it is. Maybe little pieces of it. But all you got to do is turn on the news. And you get to a certain point where you can finally, you know enough and you've learned enough and you've observed enough where your bullshit detector just never shuts up. I can't watch the news. My bullshit detector just won't keep quiet. It doesn't take me 2 seconds before I hear the first bullshit and I say, oh, God, here we go. And I turn it off. I cannot tolerate anymore listening to things that I know aren't true and are provably not true. And if I told anybody else, I would have to argue and debate. And I'm tired of debating with people. That doesn't mean I'm always right. But I guarantee you, of the things that I talk about, I am right. I am not wrong. Barry Simon, a man that gets me. He understands what I'm saying. Tries to help me. Look at that. $50 super chat. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, Barry. Mitch Weiss, Real Talk. This is real talk. That's what I want my live streams to be. If you don't think it's real talk, you're in the wrong place. You've got a lot to learn yet. And if I'm wrong and you disagree with me and you're as convinced about what you think you know as I am, then we have to agree to disagree and part ways. But I will not chase you down and try to interrupt your life so I can inject my philosophy. I won't do that. I don't do that. I walk the walk. You don't see me in anybody else's live stream ever. Sometimes I just say hello. And that's mainly to show them I'm supporting them and I wish them well. But I don't. I'm not a missionary. I'm the anti-missionary. I think if people don't want to hear from you, then you should just go away from them. Leave them alone. I'm tired of having people think that they know better about my life than I do, and they need to try to save me. They want to be my savior. That's where religion came from and how it's been used. And that's a whole nother thing that gets me in so much trouble because it's the ultimate example of how propaganda is used to turn you into sheep. And it happens long enough, it becomes fact and ideology, and then at that point, you're done, unless you learn how to open your mind, which you never do. The one word in my, there's a number of words. While I'm getting this out today, I'm going to get it out. And I'm not going. I'm not going. I need a drink. I'm not going to use any foul language. I'm not going to try to offend your sensibilities or be funny, because that's why I do that, to be funny. I'm going to keep this clean, socially acceptable, but maybe hard for a lot of people to hear. There's one word I don't have in my vocabulary. I have no use for it. By definition, it is a meaningless word that proves my point. The word that I will never use, that you never heard come out of my mouth and you never will, which will shock you to the core, that I could be a human being who could possibly think this way, because it goes against everything you've ever been taught or you believe. The one word that I will never use is faith. Faith. F-A-I-T-H. Faith. Faith. That's the most times I've said faith in years. F-A-I-T-H in Google. Let's see what Google says about the word faith. Faith is a strong belief or trust in a person, concept, or thing, often without proof. I'll let this sink in a second. Often without proof. It can mean loyalty or confidence in a person or a cause, a specific religious system, or a commitment to one's promises. In a religious context, it is typically defined as a belief and trust in God or his doctrines or religion. But the key word here is often without proof. The word faith, as I see it, goes along with the phrase, trust me. Trust me. Which is the scariest two words in the English language, because every con, every lie, usually is preceded by the words, trust me. You may think less of me because, now, there are instances, especially when it doesn't have to do with religion, where I have tremendous faith. I have faith in myself. There are things, but I don't use the word, because the word is a concept. And I could sit here and talk for weeks about how we get manipulated with fortune teller tricks and magician sleight of hands, with ridiculous logic, to test our faith. To test our faith. And I got news for you, my friends. Reality shows me things that could not possibly be true, if indeed the people with faith indeed were rewarded. And you just look around at the tragedy, misfortune, horrible things that happen to people. And there were deeply religious people who played by the rules, and yet they still have this big disaster. And they wonder, it makes them have, their faith is shaken, because they're assured that if they do this, they'll get that reward. And their 4-year-old little girl just got struck down with cancer. How could that be? What did I do? They start questioning themselves. What did I do? What did I do to deserve this? My life is destroyed. My little precious little girl is dead. And they look up at the sky and they ask questions. They can't understand it. And they go to the people that have convinced them that if they live by the rules, they're going to have glory and all this other stuff. And this happens every day, everywhere. And I live in a real world, and I look at these people and I say, what the hell do you think? George Carlin did the greatest routine about this. And it wasn't irreverent. He pointed out the facts. About half of what people pray for happens, and about half of what people pray for, their prayers aren't answered. That's about 50-50. That's the flip of a coin. That's reality. Make your bet. Take your chance. And the parent who lost their 4-year-old kid, whose life's devastated, and their whole, they start questioning their faith. And they go to the preacher and the minister, and they tears in their eyes, and they say, why? How could God let this happen to my kid? And the answer they get is, he must have had his reasons. He must have had his reasons. And if you don't think that isn't the most bullshit answer that you have ever heard in your question, and if you think that anybody could possibly think that that would comfort those parents, you're living in their fantasy world. Fortunately today, more and more people with science, with discoveries, with reality, are actually turning away from religion. But that, I can't help that. I'm ahead of my time, maybe. But I'm tired of it keep coming back in my face, which is why I rail against bringing it up here. It is not common sense. So if that's what you're looking for, there's another carnivore YouTuber out there who happens to be, at least he was, or I consider him a great friend of mine, whose message makes my message sound like I'm crazy. Number one, I don't have faith. One of the major tenets of his message. Number two, I think addiction is the biggest problem we have. Addiction, that's it. That's the reason. The reason you can't stop eating poison is you are addicted. You are an addict. And if you don't accept the fact that you're an addict, you don't even, why are you here? Don't come here. I have nothing for you. Everything I say will only aggravate you and make you attack me because my ideology is different than yours. All I'm pleading with you and begging with you is find a place where at least you fit in with the message. The message here is, your answer's not in the sky. Your answer's in the addiction, in the plants, in substances, in chemistry, in biology, biochemistry, paleontology, paleoanthropology. That's where your answers really can be found. I found them there, and they work. And they work. And I have survived. It wasn't easy. The blueberry experiment. That's what we do here. I'm seriously thinking, I'm going to change the thumbnail of my morning coffee live stream. I'm going to feature addiction like a Carboholics Anonymous meeting or something like that. That's what I want this to be. I don't want it to be a duck pond. Les Junkmore Health says, I'm praying for you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll accept that as a good thought, but it's useless. It means nothing to me. You don't have to pray for me. In fact, don't pray for me. I'm looking at the comments, everybody's defending their religion. You don't need to do that with me. I understand. Believe me, I understand. I understand all of it. I don't want to do away with religion. It's not my I'm not in here. I'm not making. You can find these videos everywhere you want on YouTube. There are hundreds of thousands of videos on YouTube that tell you why religion is such nonsense. I don't want to. I'm not pushing that. I wish I could find a place to gain comfort. But some people gain comfort in Star Trek or DC Comics. Some religions gain comfort in science fiction. And some really smart and successful people buy into them. Nobody can force you to believe anything. Yeah, I just want people to think rationally. And even that is a stretch because most of us don't have. Yeah, Gemma says, well, I know you're praying for me. Well, praying to who? I can understand it. People use the words pray to mean we're wishing you well. We're hoping you recover. But if you think I'm going to thank God for my recovery, that's absurd. Why would I thank God for my recovery? Why did God let me have a stroke in the first place, is my thought. What did I do to deserve the hell that this stroke has caused me? The stroke was caused by the fact that for all those years I poisoned myself. Where was God while I was poisoning myself? I'm a good man. It doesn't make sense. It's not logical. It doesn't add up. Hurricane Andrew came through Florida, wiped out thousands and thousands of homes and killed so many people. And what does the TV station focus on? The one poor soul that somehow got lucky enough to hide under a mattress in his bathtub and survive while his whole house got blown away. What's the first thing that comes out of his mouth when he gets in front of the microphone? I want to thank God. So let me get this straight. It's okay for this God to allow 100,000 people to have their homes taken away, and he couldn't stop this killer hurricane, but he was focusing on you poor bastard. And if it wasn't for him, you'd be dead. That does not make sense in any logical mind. And if you think it does make sense, you are brainwashed. That's the truth. That's logic. That's common sense. That's 2 and 2 equals 4. So I appreciate the fact that you are praying for me, but I don't look at it, because if I believed that there was some entity hearing your prayers, then I would have to concern myself with the fact, I wonder if the same entity that let me have this stroke and ruin my life has changed his mind about me. That's what I would think, if it indeed worked that way. I don't take it that way. I take it the way you meant it. You want me to recover. You want me to succeed. You're praying for me. I use the word like in that context as well. It's just a word. And the last time I went through this, I talked about words. They're just words. It's the thought that counts. And the thought was, you wish me well. And I certainly do. I appreciate it. I care about you guys. I wish all of you well. But I don't kneel by my bed every night looking up at the sky asking some unknown that listen to me and do good things for them. That's not what prayer means to me. Prayer means just send out the wishes. And I think, interestingly enough, if you let me get a little scientific, I think prayer does some good. And I encourage people. And if it's some deity you got to think you're praying to make you put waves out into the universe, that, you know, the old whatever goes around comes around, collective intelligence, universal consciousness, spiritualism, that's all built on the idea that we are all connected and we are all communicating and we are all part of one, and that anything that we put out into this ether, into this universe, will have an effect somewhere, sometime. I truly believe that, but there's a scientific explanation for that. And anybody that doesn't believe that that can be proven, or at least theorized with some validity, just needs to go to a hospital and say, hey, listen, I want you to hook me up to an EEG machine. And then, you know, on those little things that wiggle and all that, I want a printout of all the waveforms, all the information, all the data that my brain is transmitting into the universe. We're putting it out there for some reason. Why the hell are our brains transmitting all that easily identifiable and verifiable information? We are connected to everybody. It explains everything. It explains the sixth sense. I wrote a book about it. I keep going back there. But I do believe that that's the way it happens. It's how come I knew when my mother died. It's how come I knew the instant my father died. It's where deja vu comes from. It is how you grieve when you lose a loved one. It all makes sense. I understand it. I figured it out. I explained it, and I haven't found anything to contradict it yet, not in 78 years. But that's just how I think. My journey's been different than yours. So yes, prayer is a good thing, and I don't want it to stop. It's just the mechanics of it are where we differ. Now, can you accept that? And nobody's ever going to change my mind, not with all that I know. It's not going to happen. People keep trying, and they keep trying to say, you see, I prayed and you got better. Well, your prayer probably did help a little bit, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe I would have got better without your prayer. I mean, despicable human beings, pedophiles and rapists in prison get sick and get better too. How did that happen? I just want to be respected for the fact that I'm logical. I'm a logical thinker, that's all. So at any rate, I made a few major changes here today. I've set some ground rules for my stream. I haven't chased you away during the stream. People are saying things that are causing Peter to hide them. Not me. And if I see Peter hiding a certain individual who keeps saying things that Peter thinks might not be appropriate, then I'll allow Peter to actually hide him from the channel permanently. And I said it with love and respect. You're entitled to your opinion. You can think whatever you want. You can think whatever you want about me. You really can. I can live with that. We're not talking too much about carnivore. We certainly didn't talk much about my blueberry experiment. So I think I've said enough of that, established my position. I'm going to be making some real changes to my channel. Thrust of it, focus of it, it's going to be carnivore. It's going to be about addiction. The only other YouTuber out there who named his channel The Carb Addiction Doc is Robert Sivas. Robert Sivas is the guy that's telling you to eat carbs now. He's the guy that's responsible in a big part for this bit about, oh, you have to add carbs or it's going to be dangerous. And he's plugging his medical practice and blood tests out the wazoo. I'm sure he's got a point. But he's a carb addiction doc, for God's sakes. That's how he identifies himself. And you know what that tells me about him? The same thing that I was man enough to admit about myself. I allowed my subconscious, in its negotiations with me, to make a video lending some credence to this. You have to add carbs. Why? Because I wanted to be able to have an excuse to add carbs for myself. And I believe that's driving him too. He's a carb addict. He has never gained control of it. Take a look at him. I have gained control of it. I'm not listening to fat doctors. I don't care what comes out of their mouth. Walk the walk before you talk the talk. And I found myself, for the same reason, falling prey to the power of my subconscious that wanted carbs and still does and always will. And that's why I did this experiment. So I'm going to end up probably being the lone crusader here on YouTube. Okay, it's 8 o'clock, everybody. If Aaron's got a live stream right now, you should go over there like you did yesterday. So I'll wait for you because I'm going over time now. The focus of my channel is going to be carbohydrate addiction from a realistic, demonstrable, and if you got any common sense left, I'll be able to use your own behavior to just verify the fact that I'm absolutely correct. Peter knows this all too well. The problem is 99% of the people that are carb addicts out there have not given it a second thought. They just happily let their subconscious drive them and then feel sorry for themselves. Poor me, I can't stop eating this stuff. I know so many of them, me included. The blueberries are gone. I'll give you a summary of it. And when I want to get to where I think people are actually listening. Yeah, Case got it. Not keto, zero carb. Yes. That's what works. That's what works for me. It's the only thing that worked. If you're not a severe carb addict, you don't need to be here. You don't need to be pure carnivore. You could be Mediterranean diet. Just eat whole foods. Eat whatever you want. If you can stop. If you can say, no, thank you, to a cookie or cake or bread or sugar or candy. Just say, no, thank you, and no. You're not an addict. Whatever I say does not apply to you. It doesn't apply to you. You're in the wrong place. We don't want to hear what you have to say. I'll tell you what. See how this works. See how this works for you. See how this works for you. You're not an alcoholic. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't like alcohol. I have no desire to drink alcohol. How could it be so wildly different that I could be so addicted to carbs? And yet alcohol, which is a highly addictive substance, has no meaning to me. Well, it's physiology. It just is. I'm also not addicted to drugs or painkillers or gambling. I am addicted to coffee and cigars. I'm an addict. I can come up with 27 justifications for why I drink coffee. Who am I fooling? Who am I kidding? That's my addiction talking. My addiction presented me with the fact that here's 50 videos where they tell you how good coffee is and how caffeine extends your life and how the polyphenols in coffee are good for you. And this, that, and I said, yeah, okay, I like that. But then 50 videos told me that coffee does this and that and it's bad and it's going to kill you and it hurts your mitochondria and all that. I say, that's bullshit. I don't believe that. Well, of course not. I don't want to believe that. The tendency to believe what you want to believe is just your subconscious talking to you to get its way, whatever it wants. Because that's what's in charge of your life, whether you like to think it or not, and your little meager, puny, ineffective, conscious mind is just along for the ride. The animal in you is controlling everything. That's just the reality I've discovered. Of course, I had to, yesterday, go back into the creation versus evolution argument, which I refused to go to and had to actually get rid of a user. Just say, hide her from the channel. Not interested in what you have to say anymore. That's my right. It's my classroom. I don't come into your classroom and tell you that you're wrong and stupid because you believe in evolution and creation is the way. I'm a good person. I don't ever force my views on anybody. I'm happy to help if people ask and want to listen. And if they don't agree with me, fine. Don't agree with me. I am not a missionary. People who are missionaries, people who are activists, are the problem with this world. I don't care if it's religious, political, whatever the activism is. I'm right, you're wrong, and I want to force you to do it my way. That is no way to live. Where was I? Oh yeah, I wanted to get this up. Hold on a second. Let me do this. Let me get this. Hang on. Barry created this for me yesterday, and it's really cool.
Stay away.
You hear that? Okay, now let me show it to you. Here we go. This was in honor of my great blueberry experiment.
Stay away.
Is that great or what? Let's do it again.
Stay away.
To me, that blueberry monster is my demon. It's the key. The blueberry ice cream is the key to unlocking my total and complete loss of self-control. We all have that in one way or another. Oh, I was saying about the alcoholic. I see a thing in a comment. Gemma asked Peter if I blocked Rick. Yes, I did. Gem, yes, I did. Not that I hate Rick. I like Rick. I love Rick. I think Rick is a lovable character. His presence, unfortunately, no matter how many subtle hints I've dropped over the past months, how many subtle hints, and one not so subtle hint have I dropped, and he doesn't get the message. And I had to make a decision. Either he goes or I go. Of course, I cannot do it anymore with that distraction in my private community live streams or my chats. I have tried so hard to say, I'm trying to, when he comes in, when Rick is in one of our streams, and I loved having him here, But he's so distracting. Distracting. I know y'all think Milton is cute, but I'm talking about a serious thing, trying to get people to understand something that nobody understands, and he's holding Milton up there, and he's just always attracting attention to himself. Unfortunately, that is not helping people that come to me for help. It is hurting the people that come here. And I've tolerated it and tried to change it subtly with little hints and little things. But that doesn't mean I don't like Rick. I don't admire him for his, I'm not entertained by him or the Ducks. But he's hurting. He's hurting what's really important to me about doing this YouTube. And it isn't making money. I'm a crusader, let's say. Trying to wake people up to the reality of stop listening to the propaganda and the bullshit, which is everywhere. Your doctors are killing you. Wake up, wake up, wake up. I don't know why I have an urge to do that. I always have. It made me write a book years ago. I never expected to make any money on that book, and I wasn't disappointed either. I thought there was something in it that might help. Boy, was I naive. Nobody wanted to know. Nobody wanted to hear it. Nobody could even follow my thinking. And the same thing goes on today. And I got a few. I like that. Robbie Hunter says, Rick Perry says, Mitch is subtle. No, I'm as subtle as a freight train. I always said that. What you see is what you get. What's on my mind comes out of my mouth. I'm the furthest thing from subtle that ever lived. But I don't want to hurt people's feelings either. And I like Rick. So I tried to get the message. I did the same thing with Peter, you remember? I was convinced. I was convinced that Peter was only in my chat for self-glorification at first. Ellen was my moderator back then, and Ellen agreed with me. We would talk, we'd have conversations about it. And Ellen would say, Ellen, who is a no bullshit lady, would say to me, the hell's with this Papa Carnivore, she'd say. People come in and ask you questions, and before you have a chance to even open your eyes, he's already answering them. He's taken over. I said, yeah, I noticed that. It pisses me off. I may as well call this the Papa Carnivore Show. So I came out right away and said, Peter, please do me a favor. Tried to be nice to him because I'd met Peter. I liked Peter. He's a nice guy. I didn't want to believe that I was being used, that because I had a big audience, he could find a place to promote himself. And I asked Peter, please, don't answer questions in my chat that are meant for me, because half the time I'm going to disagree with you. Now I have to debate you? This is my classroom. Have you ever seen a college lecture hall where a student stands up and says, Professor, you're wrong, and this is the right answer? In class, in front of everybody? But that's what you're doing every time you answer a question. It was meant for me, with the possibility that I don't agree with you, that I think you're wrong, and I think you've just bought into the same propaganda that they have. And people come to listen to me because maybe I got a different take or a different insight on it. Maybe it's right. Maybe it'll be the thing that helps them. You're keeping me from doing why I'm here. And Peter understood. I said, well, that's great. And he stopped doing that. I've always got aggravated with people who monopolize the chat and want to be the life of the party. This is not a party. I'm trying to accomplish something here. I'm investing my time, my money in equipment and trying to be professional about it. A lot of thought, a lot of angst and aggravation, a lot of abuse that I don't need. I ask myself why. And sometimes I can't come up with a good answer other than the fact that I enjoy it. I do. And I got a lot of time on my hands. So why not? And if I help some people. But how much abuse do I have to take because I help? So I try to be subtle with people that I don't want to hurt their feelings. People that have, been with me for a long time. And that's it. And I'm having to do the same thing right now with what I consider a great, great friend who I happen to disagree with some of his methods. And it's painful to me. It's painful to me. You know I'm talking about Kiltsy. The guy is such a stellar human being. I can't say a single bad thing about him. But he disagrees with my philosophy in two major basic ways, which basically negate my whole message and my whole reason for being on YouTube. So I have to disassociate myself from his channel. I hope we can still be friends. I'm not his friend because I won something from him. I'm certainly not his friend because I think he's a famous big YouTuber and I'm not, and that's going to help me grow my channel. I don't think that's true. I'm perfectly capable of holding my own here on YouTube without the help of other influencers. In fact, I think I've helped more influencers than have helped me. So we'll see how that falls out. I think Kiltz and I will still be great friends. But the message is different. His message is faith, fasting, and whatever else. My message is you're a carb addict. Deal with it. Or else you'll never fix it. Most of these different messages don't come from anywhere other than the fact that the person who is giving out the message is a different level of carb addict. I don't think Kiltz is the carb addict that I am. He can stop. I can't. There you go. It's very simple. Doesn't mean anybody's wrong, right, or otherwise. It just means sometimes what applies to him doesn't apply to me, and vice versa. Ketone Seeker, thank you so much. $20 super chat. Much love, Mitch. Oh, God, thank you so much. You have no idea how much I appreciate that, a thought like that, especially on a day like this. Peter said also, Ketone Seeker, thank you so much for your support. Thank you. And it's not the money, it's the thought. Everybody says that. It's not the money. It's the thought that counts. That's they're running to the bank. That's not the way I am. I don't need money. I honestly don't need money. I'm not rich. But I have everything I want. What am I going to do with money? I had a fortune at one time. It just made me miserable. But what do I do with millions and millions and millions of dollars right now? I'm trying to recover from a stroke. I live in a double-wide mobile home. I have everything I need. I have a purpose in life, even though it's frustrating as hell, and that is to try to leave some kind of legacy of what I've learned after all these years that has solved the biggest problem known to humankind, and that is the health crisis. I have the answer. Nobody wants to listen, and nobody asks the right questions, but I have the answer, and I keep trying to tell people about it, but it just makes me sound like a kook. And I understand all that. I'm not on drugs. I don't need drugs. So it says Mitch taking drugs. No. Society would have me take drugs. That's for sure. Psychiatrists would prescribe drugs and want to numb me down and dumb me out so I get in line like everybody else and keep those insurance payments coming into them. I've been to some psychologists. It's not one of them that gave me any advice to anything other than potentially screw me up completely. I saw through their bullshit. I see through the doctor's bullshit. I see through the newscasters' bullshit. I see through the politicians' bullshit. I see through your bullshit. If you're bullshitting yourself, I don't mind telling you about it. When I bullshit myself, which I do constantly, I admit it to myself and try to turn it into a positive and learn more about the mechanisms that are causing me to actually bullshit myself. Like the fact that I might think there's a way that I can moderate my consumption of carbohydrates. I knew going in I couldn't. I learned during this experiment I was right. I promised myself I'm never going to do that again. And in a few months, I'll be buying more blueberries and buying more cream, thinking that I figured out some way of actually moderating them, and then having to go through this again to prove to myself, when are you going to stop punishing yourself, Mitch, and just finally learn? Because you have learned, and this is the key. This is, if you heard, I've said a lot of words today, but if you've heard nothing more than these words, these words are all you need to hear. We have a problem. Just being able to identify a problem is useless if it doesn't result in some actionable information. The word actionable is the key. I try to use it a lot. Actionable. Yeah. I know that Vladimir Putin wants to start World War III. What do I do about it? Just knowing what a problem is doesn't mean you know the answer. Politicians do this all the time. Their whole campaigns are built around pointing out problems and things that are wrong, especially with the other guy. But do they tell you anything that's actually doable? Any fixes? No. Elect me, and I'll change things. That doesn't mean shit. That is the ultimate bullshit. I'll change it. What? What are you going to change? What are you going to do? It's like, I'm going to cure this health crisis we have. How? Robert F. Kennedy? How are you going to cure it? Well, I'm going to point out that red food dyes. Big news flash. Food dyes are not good for you. Wow, that's going to change everybody's mind. I tell a drug addict that heroin's no good for him, and that won't even change his mind. Who the hell's going to change anything based on the fact that you're saying? No matter what, if you do finally say something that makes sense, should be eating more fresh meat, they're just going to turn around, and the powers that be, the holders of the narrative, the news media, the food companies, pharma companies, are going to just take your message and turn it into their message, like Doc Siegel did on the news the other morning. RFK Jr. said, we need to eat more fresh meat and vegetables. Doc Siegel turned into, we need to eat more lean. We need to eat lean meat. Didn't say more. He said, we need to eat lean meat and fruits and vegetables, which is, how has that changed from what they've been recommending for the past 40 years? Should be eating more, what, lean meat? Chicken breasts? No fat? I didn't hear anybody say add fat. I didn't hear RFK Jr. say. He said it's okay to eat saturated fat, but I didn't hear any of them say we need to be eating more fat. That's the answer. So with all this, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all propaganda. It's all just talking points, and everything is talking. Everything. I can't listen anywhere anymore. It's just all bullshit. And pardon my use of the word bullshit. I think that's an acceptable, dirty word these days. And then yesterday, I don't know the story yet, but somebody was saying Trump just hurt all the ranchers, beef ranchers. Didn't give them a subsidy. I haven't heard it because we're not going to. For some reason, this hasn't been around, but there was a story. It was a thing on YouTube. I didn't get a chance to watch it. And that's what our government should be doing if they really want to solve the problem, is take the subsidies away from the wheat farmers and the soybean farmers and start hitting them in the direction of sustainable ranchers. And I'll draw on an old expression that I always use, and that is, yeah, it's a great idea. Wouldn't it be great to have all those hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars going in to help a farmer who wants to fix his pasture back to where it's nutrient dense, get cows living naturally? Wouldn't that be a better use of the money? Wouldn't that be better use of the money instead of paying all the exorbitant healthcare costs for illegal immigrants and shutting the government down until they get their way? Wouldn't it be better to take that money and give it to the cow farmers? You know what I'm saying? Doesn't that make sense to you if you are a logical thinker? Hundreds of billions of dollars to pay for illegal immigrants' health care costs. Hundreds of billions of dollars to go into the pockets of the corrupt drug companies and medical system that don't fix anything. We should take all that good money and pour it into their pockets so they can afford more bribes to more congressmen and take over more power and come up with new ways to hook us and addict us to their food and drugs? Is that a great use of money that you worked hard for and paid taxes with? Because that's what they want. They've shut your government down. And you want to elect these people again? You're out there protesting for them? No kings, no kings? Have you lost your freaking minds? Half of you have. That's scary, my friends. That's scary. And I look out at this world every day and say, what are you doing, Mitch? Why are you doing this? Well, because I know what's the answer. I know what to choose. I know what the fix is for it. And the fix, the one thing that RFK Jr. could be doing, the one thing that would be making the reality of carbohydrate addiction public, talking about it, publicizing it, making it go viral, somehow making people understand they're being ruled by their addictions, and coming up with an actionable thing they could do to fix it. Now, that's where it becomes impossible in our current culture. It's impossible. I know what the answer is. Problem is, the answer is impossible to implement. For a severe carb addict, there's only one answer. No carbs. That's it. That's the most important thing I've said today. If you're a severe carb addict, you got to abstain. I don't think any of you will disagree with me, because you all have lived my life. You bargained with yourself, reasoned with yourself, made promises to yourself, and ate the sugar anyway. And then felt bad about it afterwards. That's That's just the reality of it. If that hasn't happened to you, maybe you're not a carb addict. And that's okay too, because not all of us are. But more of us are than think. So from here going forward, and I'm going to stop this. You're all getting tired of me. I can see it now. The focus of my channel is not going to be cooking. It's not going to be air fryers, gadgets. I know a lot of you found that entertaining. It's not making me any money. And it's not very satisfying for me to do, because I don't feel like I'm really helping anybody by telling you what a good air fryer is. The air fryers that I use are good. I've been proud of what I recommend, but the amount of work it takes to make videos reviewing these things, it ain't worth it. It's just not worth it. Even if a video got 100,000 views, that's a few $100. That's it. And that happens once in a blue moon. It's not about the money. It'd be nice to make money for all this work, but so be it. If my fans want to support me with super chats or coffees, it helps. But it's not why I'm here. If it just pays the bills, what I deducted from my income tax last year for my actual justifiable expenses to do this YouTube thing for a year was right around $15,000. You may wonder why. I mean, I had to itemize it for the IRS, and I did. I was surprised it was that much, but I would be in pretty much the same shape without it. You're going to notice that the focus of this channel is going to be, and I'm not going to use the word carb addiction doc, because I'm not a doc. But I want people to consider my morning live stream to be a meeting like in Alcoholics Anonymous, but with wildly different methods, because what works for alcoholics, or what will work for an alcoholic, is entirely different. It's addiction, but it's a different addiction. Number one, there's going to be no 12-step program. There's going to be no reliance on a higher power. This is the basis for Alcoholics Anonymous. There's going to be no talk of making amends to the people you've hurt, because you haven't hurt anybody being a carb addict but yourself. And it's not your fault. So why should you apologize for something that's not your fault? The food companies should be apologizing. So part of our creed is going to be that the food companies should be apologizing to us. We got nobody to apologize for. We're a victim of their propaganda and greed and corruption. But it's an addiction. We're not going to look at fantasies as the answer. Fantasies work to motivate people, and I can understand why Alcoholics Anonymous turns to fantasies. One of the main reasons an addiction program does work, one of the prime reasons it works, when you remove all the other higher power, I'm sorry, stuff from it, what's left is, well, we want to get rid of this addiction, let's just replace it with that one. So what do they replace alcoholism with? Caffeine, nicotine, and sugar addiction. So people go to the meetings to kick alcohol and stuff themselves full of donuts, drink coffee, and smoke cigarettes. And then they come out and say, wow, this Alcoholics Anonymous really works for me. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. What do people who quit smoking, what do people who go through nicotine treatment and quit smoking programs come out? They come out carb addicts. They gain weight. I mean, it's a natural association. I just gained 50 pounds. Why? Well, I quit smoking. Do you ever put two and two together? Logic, common sense. Yeah, you gained 50 pounds because you replaced your nicotine addiction with a carb addiction. Dummy. It's just another form. Sleight of hand. Misdirection. Keep your eye on the rabbit. It's reality. That's what my program is going to be about. Let's talk reality. So, I know that the replacing one addiction with another works. Drink your coffee. It's less harmful. It might be harmful, but it's certainly 1,000% less harmful than stuffing your face with sugar. It's okay. If that's the best we can do and it works, I'll drink to that. So stop demonizing coffee. It's not that bad. Because you're addicted to something a lot worse right now. Start smoking cigars, for God's sakes. At your age, you could smoke 10 cigars a day for the rest of your life. It wouldn't even begin to hurt you if you don't inhale it. But you'll get addicted to it for one reason or another. So what? My cigars are probably one of the greatest helps I've ever had in any effort to overcome carb addiction. Because I'm replacing one addiction. Now, I'm not telling people to go out and die. You have to smoke cigars, but stop telling me not to. Stop telling me that the thing that's probably made me healthy and successful is killing me. Stop it. I know better. I've done the research. Anything that says otherwise is propaganda. Probably from the people who want you eating carbs instead of smoking cigars. Because the food companies don't make money when you smoke cigars. It's all bullshit, folks. It's all everybody rooting for themselves. It's nature's way. Oh, here I go. Almost 2 hours. 8:37. Okay. I'm going strong. Get fired up. I'm sorry. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Got below 100. I think it's time to go. I'm certainly not going to delete this live stream. I'll be back tomorrow with the first meeting of those of us that are addicted to carbs and want to talk realistically about things that will help us and understand why it is we've been so helpless all our lives and continue to be no matter what we try to do. That's the key. And tomorrow, I promise, I'll tell you the whole story about how the great blueberry experiment ended. It's a little happy music for you. Say goodbye to your friends in the chat. There's two reasons why I didn't put the chat up there. I did read most of it, which is probably better. Secondly, I don't have to read it during the replays because all that would ever do is aggravate me. Say what you want. Say what you want. Who is still here? Ribeye Susie, how are you? Patty's Garden, Mike Sealy Sr. See you tomorrow. I hope you guys come back tomorrow. Cookie Carnivore. Mitch, thank you. Juliet, glad I didn't scare you off. Bye, Mitch SMK and Manny Beddoes. Greta Brunswick, Lori Weitzel. Great to see you today. I didn't say hi to almost anybody. CB Carmack. Oh, I know I didn't scare you off, man. You're a realist. Yeah, CB's a very smart man. He understands a lot of this stuff. Bacon Runner, who used to be Main Runner. Donna Ray changed her name to Bacon Runner. I like it. I like it. Jeff Johnson, the name you know, the name you know. Lori says, I replaced my carb addiction with bacon. Smart choice. Smart choice. Anyway, thanks for coming, guys. And please, I know that I probably alienated some of you today, and I'm sorry to see you go. Yesterday, the last time I ran it, I think I alienated 5 people. Sorry to see all you go. There's no way I'm going to reach everybody. I'm not going to argue with anybody. I'm not going to debate my convictions, which were hard fought for my entire life. None of you are going to change my mind. You can make a suggestion of something I might consider, but you tell me I'm wrong, I will say we need to agree to disagree and end this now, because I don't have the energy or the desire to prove I'm right. I don't care if you think I'm right. It's not important to me. Just go away. So whatever happens will happen. I hope that over a period of weeks, this new change and the new way I'm going to talk about it, and the new things I'm going to concentrate on, well, maybe the word will get out. Maybe it will attract people who actually recognize that they're helpless to fight their addiction and have gotten to that level of self-honesty that they might come in. And we'll get some new people in here. And I already knew that most of the people that come every day already knew everything I told them today. That's about it. I'll wrap it up here. Take the rest of the day off until tonight at 7 o'clock. And we'll pick this back up in the private community and talk some more about it on the panel and eat meat.